Hello, I'm Alan Davies, and this is As Yet Untitled, the show with no name, no agenda or preparation or proper intro or anything, but we do try during the course of the programme to come up with a title for the show. That's a simple aim. And in order to do that, I invite four very funny and talented guests, and then we have a conversation. So please will you welcome our guests. Here they all are. Hand-picked. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Alun Cochrane is here. Alun Cochrane knows his place. Alun Cochrane is here. Joe Brand has a very colourful CV and knows the real cost of knowledge. Joe Brand is here. Tommy Tiernan, who is a very charitable man and was once told a very strange thing by a very strange man. Tommy Tiernan is here. And Chris Martin. Welcome to Chris. Chris Martin, who isn't Chris Martin. Chris Martin's here. And perhaps we should clear that up straight away, Chris.
Oh, yeah.
That you're not Chris Martin.
I'm not. No, I'm not.
Out of Coldplay.
Out of Coldplay. every day I will get a...
All right, pack it in with a groan in. You weren't expecting Coldplay.
Yeah, exactly.
Bloody lucky they're not here.
Yeah. No, I get it all. It's every... Actually, weirdly, Alan, the first gig I ever did, you were the MC, and I spoke to you afterwards, and I said, do you think I should change my name? And you said, nah, I'll be all right. It's been the bane of my existence since then, so...
I have other bad advice available if anybody wants it. Sorry.
It's all right. You said it wouldn't matter, and it doesn't really matter, but it's like... I did do a gig in the Slug and Lettuce in... Yeah, my career's going really well.
Which branch of the
Slug and Lettuce in Waterloo. So it's just, Zone 1, it's all right. And I did... It was just like a new material gig. This was maybe like a year and a half ago, I think, around Christmas time, and I did the gig. And then afterwards I sat down and then these two people like sort of aggressively talking to the promoter and sort of pointing at me. I was like, this, like that. And I said, what happened there? And she said, these two people have flown over from Denmark because they thought they were going to be watching the lead singer of Coldplay. And then they were like, no. So they were like, Chris Martin, like, that's not him. And I was like, yeah, it's a relatively, I don't know, in Norway maybe it's a really rare name. It's quite common in the UK. And so they were like, and then they were like, so you sure he's not going to be here? They're like, yeah. And then they got a photo of him out on their phone and went, are you sure? Like I was just going to be like, yeah, yes. And then I don't know, I've sort of thought the clue was the fact it was in a Slug and Lettuce, that his career's better than Slug and Lettuce at the moment.
Yeah, well, they thought they were on some special, low-key, unannounced gig.
Yeah.
I feel bad, because I could have stopped that story happening. If you'd said, do you think I should change it? And I'd said, yeah, that would not have occurred.
Yeah. You basically cost some people airfares there because of your terrible...
If you'd just gone with Mick Jagger as you'd intended.
Yeah.
You can probably get away with touring in Rwanda or Micronesia.
So it's very
as
small
Chris
countries.
Martin, as the Chris Martin,
Pretty guilty. A lot of guilt taking money from not that wealthy African people and conning them into...
Yeah, who said anything about money? Just go and enjoy the hospitality. No singing today. No singing today.
That's it. Yeah, I'll just do some stories about my life and have a different face for the whole thing as well. Yeah, no. I had a and the other one was when when I was a student, I tried to extend my overdraft. So I rung up, and the woman, I said my name, and she went, "You're not the Chris Martin." And I was like, "I'm extending my overdraft from £1,000 to £1,500. I think he's got."
It's not likely.
No.
Nah.
I think you need to worry, because I do a lot of hideous corporate gigs, and they're normally kind of a surprise for the people who are doing them to. And I get, my name is announced and I walk on and I get a lot of depressed sort of sighs. and that's when you need to worry, really. They just because I'm inappropriate for them. Like I did a gig a few months ago with a load of builders in Southampton, lovely. And when I came on, they were like sighs of despair. Because they were obviously looking at me thinking, we want someone to talk to us about building. What on earth can this fat menopausal woman possibly have to say to us? And, you know, it's always a surprise. I said to him, you will be surprised, because I know a lot about building. My dad's a structural engineer, my brother's a quantity surveyor, and my husband's a fucking plank. So, there you are. A lot.
Have you had people thinking you're related to Russell Brand?
Well, I do tell people that Russell Brand's my son. Occasionally. But obviously this is looks-wise, not a... I have the beard in the morning, but... yeah, no, not really. But actually it is kind of hilarious, people's sort of, you know, sketchy knowledge of you. Because I was in a chip shop the other night. I know I don't look like I go in chip shops, but... and this woman pointing at me and went, Dawn Saunders. It's like, hello. First of all, I'm not Dawn French or Jennifer Saunders, but well done for eliding them together and getting it wrong.
I had one when I was in at the World Cup, and I was with the Scotland supporters in Bordeaux. And one of them looked at me across this particular beer tent, and he looked a bit more pissed than the others, and he went, Alan! Alan! Fucking hell, Alan! Partridge! Partridge! And then he went, aha! Aha! And he was made up. I could, you know.
I had a guy when I was walking through Bristol. I'm not at all well known, but a pissed guy got out of a cab, pointed at me, went, uglier version of Jensen Button, then got back in the cab and it drove off.
To see the rest of that wonderful episode, you can watch it now on UK TV Play. You can also continue listening for a few choice stories that didn't quite make the show. You were religious for a bit, weren't you?
Yeah, I tried to join the priesthood and they wouldn't have me. I applied.
Were you too angry?
No, I was too stupid.
Really?
Yeah, I applied for them, and my final school qualifications didn't get me into university to study theology. So they said, no, you can't join. What a loss.
I didn't realise you had to be that intelligent to be a priest. You have to have a degree.
You have to study theology. You need to do a 7 years of theology.
Even Dougal.
Even Dougal. yeah.
Surely not. Surely not.
That's where that show fell down.
Yeah.
Father Jack.
Yeah.
Right, you've got a degree.
And I was all set to join, and I was really looking forward to it. And the head of the order had called to see my parents, and my parents were all for it. And ours wasn't a religious house at all. So maybe that thing of rebelling against your parents, my way of doing it was by getting into religion. Yeah. And they were all set to go, and then my exam results came out, and they said no.
What were you really looking forward to?
To be honest, a kind of homelessness. A possessionless, mystical, holy homelessness. I kind of saw myself as a cross between Mike Scott from the Waterboys and Gandhi. There were the notions I had. I was so, everybody else was going to do business or, getting jobs. And here I was volunteering for no possessions, no house, just a black dress and some sandals.
But do you think that was because you were somewhat rootless? Because you moved around a hell of a lot, didn't you, when you were a
fierce
boy?
amount. Now, I was born in Donegal in the northwest of Ireland. I lived there for 3 years, and then we moved from there to Africa. I lived there for 3 years, moved to London for a while, then moved to a few different towns around Ireland. Then I was sent to boarding school, so I had executive gypsy blood in my veins. But I would have gone for it as well, the priesthood. I would have, absolutely.
Did you do other jobs? Did you have a colourful CV like Joe's?
I tried to work for the homeless, and they said I was too depressing. Yeah.
There's been a lot of rejection.
How long did you...
I did an interview to work with the Simon community, and they just said, look, these these people have a hard enough time.
Is that a charitable organisation?
The Simon, is it not the Simon Community?
No, there is.
Is there? What
Yeah.
is it?
Well, I think it's kind of quasi-religious organisation, isn't it?
They provide shelters for homeless men. Yeah.
Right.
And they go out on the streets as well, and
But only giving soup, like
Yes.
they don't preach or anything.
no, they don't.
So they didn't accept me.
What did you say that was so depressing?
Do you know what it was?
It is your
It was-
general demeanour.
No, it was that. It was the shape of the room, really.
Ceilings were too high.
No, it was.
Response.
Really, yeah.
There was no MC. It was
Terrible room.
Ceiling was too high.
No warm-up acts.
The gap between the stage and the front row was massive.
Too early.
They weren't drunk enough.
Honestly, they were sitting in front of a window on a really hot day. It was on it was my 19th birthday, actually. And
You were depressed on your birthday.
yeah, yep. And the sun was shining in my eyes, and I couldn't really see them like these silhouettes. And I was just in the kind of maudlin 19-year-old part of my life, and they just said, "We think you have some issues, and we're not going to let you do it." So then I moved to the west of Ireland, and I was unemployed till I was 26,
Wow.
and then did stand-up.
You did no jobs. How did you live?
I was on the dole, getting £33 a week until I was 26, yeah. And then I had a child, and then I said, OK, time to do something. And yeah, so that's
And was stand-up something that was happening? When you were right at the beginning, really, of the stand-up. I'll hesitate to say explosion, but suddenly
No.
the 1 minute there was none, and the next minute there was a
When I started now, you would have been a god. And you, Joe. Like, you were when we were starting off in Ireland, you guys were seen as the elite. So this was way back in the mid to late 90s, maybe. So Sean Hughes had come over and done some stand-up and done really well. Father Ted had been on telly, was doing really well. People like Michael Stone. Not Michael Stone, Michael Redmond.
Michael Redmond, yeah.
So I got in, and it was something I was able to do. I was ruthless in the sense that I wasn't absolutely going to do anything else. And I sometimes think with kids, if you've got the guts to be ruthless and refuse to do stuff that you're not passionate about, just refuse to do it, then you have a chance of ending up doing something.
Living on £33 a week.
Yeah, sure. That's very sensible of you.
And not with Mr. Cameron in charge.
Yeah.
But
So
I
that's
think
how-
you're right, actually. I mean, I certainly, when I wanted to do stand-up, I was really, I don't know about you, when you changed from your career into comedy, but I really didn't want to do anything else. I thought about doing gigs all the time, and I loved doing it as well. And I liked the people that I met at that time, because most of them were really funny. I mean, we used to laugh a lot in the car to gigs and coming home from gigs. Some of them were a bit damaged and weird, but...
It takes all types of people to make a world.
So, I mean, you really... I've almost got this kind of Dick Whittington idea of you now, with your possessions on a stick, and you're going across from the west of Ireland into Dublin. Did you have friends who you knew were doing comedy, or did you just present yourself at the...
Just
What's
arrived
the name of that pub they had there?
in the International.
The International, yeah.
No, I just arrived, and I said, I've organised to do 5 minutes here next week. Would you mind if I did it this week? And they said no, and yeah, it all happened fairly quickly after that then, you know, so.
So who was around then? People like Barry Murphy?
Barry Murphy,
Kevin
Ardla Hanlon, Dylan Moran had just won the Perrier, I think. So yeah, they were the people I looked up to and said, they're my heroes at the time, you know.
Yeah.
It's quite interesting with the PA, because I got nominated for it in the same year as Steve Coogan and John Thompson, who were obviously going to win it. But like 5 years down the line, people say to me, "Oh, you won the Perrier, didn't you?" And I always go, "Yeah." Because no one's got a memory, have they? You know, it's so easy, really.
Yeah.
yeah.
Did you do much car sharing back then? Because that's a thing that we all have to sort of do now. You have to get in a car with some strangers you don't really know, and then just...
No, I don't know.
What about when you went to that gig with Nick Hancock and you said, we've got to stop in every pub on the way to the gig?
Well, Nick Hancock, do you know Nick Hancock? And what was the teddy bear torturer? What was his name? Steve Murray.
Did you ever see the teddy bear torturer?
No.
Oh, he had a portable record player and he put it on its side. And he had hundreds of ways of torturing teddy bears, and then he'd stick a teddy bear on it so it was spinning round and round, and then he'd throw darts at it and go, ha ha ha! It was hilarious.
It was hilarious.
And he
guillotined them as well.
He did that. It was a bit like Tommy Cooper in a way, wasn't it?
It was.
Similar build and voice. But he's a fantastic.
Well, we all drove down to Barnstaple in Devon to do this gig, and Nick Hancock said, once we get over the border into Devon, we've got to have a drink at every pub we drive past, right? Which I think from there to Barnstaple was roughly 16, 17 pubs. And anyway, Nick Hancock, God, he can put them away. He
could those days anyway.
Well, at the time he was drinking a double Bloody Mary with a sweet sherry in it.
Wow.
I know. So he had
You might be better off drinking Veet.
Yeah. But we got to this gig and we were so pissed. I mean, I was really pissed. I was driving, and it was just a disaster because it was in like a discotheque, you know, when they used to spell it with a T-H-E-Q-U-E with a grave accent, a discotheque. And there was a whole big space which was like the dance floor, which no one was allowed on. So all the audience were behind the dance floor. We were the other side of it on a little tiny stage. And we were just so drunk. And what happened was Nick went on, he compared. He went on, he was so pissed, he just took his shoes off and threw them at this guy in the audience. And then went off. And that was him. And then Steve Murray said to me, it's your turn now. And I started crying and refused to go on. and so I didn't go on. And I think he went on and did his bit. And it lasted about 10 minutes and we all went home.
Wow.
So, yes, bit of car sharing.
Happy days. We went to a play with Steve Murray and Sean Locke and me and Ian Cognito, and we were doing gigs in Manchester and Liverpool, and we were away for 3 nights, and Steve Murray got us up in the morning, said, come on, we're going out, and we went to some National Trust place, the 4 of us, and it was an old mill, cotton mill in Lancashire or something, and...
Sounds like Style Mill.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, I mean, really, there's no point to this story because this talk about you had to be there. I don't think I've laughed so much in my life. And Steve Murray, there were people in traditional costume. They sat us in a classroom pretending to be Victorian children with a slate and a bit of chalk. You know? I'm thinking, oh, God, what are they going to write? What are they going to do? Steve Murray just writing phone number, ? And holding it up to this girl who's being the teacher. And then we found out they did a game, it's like jacks, you know, where you drop a ball and you pick the jacks up. But they used pig knuckles to do it. And we went off on one about, well, the poor pigs. They're just roaming around going, I hope you're enjoying that.